Right. Before we do so, a quick formal introduction on my end. My name is Mohammed Shoaib. I'm a cybersecurity trainer certified from EC Council itself. Again, a well-recognized organization based in the United States for certifications and trainings in the domain of cybersecurity. And the demo that we're going to take today is on a course called Certified Ethical Hacking version 12. One of the fundamental or foundational courses taken by people in order to get into this domain of cybersecurity. Okay. Now, before we do so, any questions or doubts that you might have prior to beginning this session? Anyone? Any questions that you had regarding the course before we get started?
Now, just wanted to know, with this demo class, we're doing
Mhm.
an ethical hacking for now. What else is there in the course, to generalize this thing, as in, we're gonna go through ethical hacking, then pen trace, or what else is there in the course?
Right. So by the end of this demo session, I'll be sharing this documentation to you. This is actually the
Mm-hmm.
entire course content, where we start from the very
Mm-hmm.
basics, networking basics, virtualization basics, Linux commands, and then we get into the hacking cycle phase, where we learn
Okay.
information gathering, scanning, various types of attacks to attack each and every endpoint. So we'll cover that in a
Mm-hmm.
few minutes anyhow. And again, definitely, when you talk about ethical hacking, there will be penetration testing covered, all sorts of penetration testing, web pen testing,
Mm-hmm.
network pen testing, wireless pen testing, etc. So yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give a demo that will explain you what topics we'll be learning throughout the course. But again, to give you a glimpse of it, this is the entire course content actually. Okay.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Thank you.
Right, I'll be sharing this document in the chat box by the end of the session anyhow. Okay. Moving
Mm-hmm.
forward,
Okay.
let's get started. So again, let's get started with the definitions, guys, first. So there's a lot of misconceptions that hacking and ethical hacking is one and the same terminology. And that's why
Mm-hmm.
people assume that this is something which is illegal. Okay, so let's clarify that first. So when you talk about hacking, this is the procedure of trying to gain access to information systems. When I use that phrase, gaining access to information systems, it means if I were a hacker, I could try to gain access to any of your devices, your phones, your laptops, your web servers, your routers, whatever it be. And this is done without the permission and without the knowledge of the person or the organization owning those devices. Okay. So once I hack into an organization, I might have remote control of their servers. Okay. And this might not even be known to them. This might be hidden from them. Okay. And this is done definitely without their permission. Okay. And the main purpose of this is hackers do it for their own benefit. Okay. Once they get remote access, they can steal the data, destroy the data, or sell that data to other people or other third-party organizations on the internet. Okay. And sometimes hackers are so mischievous, they can even do it just for fun. Okay. So we read out the definition again. Hacking is the procedure of trying to gain access to information systems without the permission and without the knowledge of the organization owning those systems. And this is usually performed by hackers for their own benefit and sometimes even just for fun. Now, from this definition, you can completely understand that hacking is something which is definitely illegal. It is a criminal activity. Then why do we have a course called ethical hacking? And how is this getting ethical in the first place or legal in the first place? To define ethical hacking, it is the procedure of trying to find vulnerabilities. This term called vulnerability is something that you'll keep on hearing throughout the course, guys. To define it, it's a loophole, it's a flaw or a weakness in the security of the information system. And your job as an ethical hacker is to find these loopholes itself in the information systems with the consent and with the knowledge of the organization. So you work hand in hand with the organization's infrastructure and try to find the vulnerabilities in their whole organization. And once those vulnerabilities are found, you report it back to the company so that they can patch it up. Because these are the same vulnerabilities on which hackers try to attack and get the loopholes. And I mean, sorry, get to try to get your access to your remote systems. So your job as an ethical hacker is to find these loopholes, report it to the company, remediate them, patch them up, and prevent any further cyber threats. Okay. So your job as an ethical hacker is protecting your organization from these so-called hackers or malicious actors. Okay. Is that clear, guys? Any questions in these definitions? Oh, I hope.
No,
Right.
no, clear. All good.
Right. Ankit, Rajesh, Avinash, Tawfiq, I think you can hear me as well.
Yeah.
Right. Hi, Tawfiq, you have attended earlier sessions, I suppose. I think we have
Yes. Yes. Yes.
interacted earlier. Right. No worries. Right. Moving forward, now depending on these two definitions, we can categorize the types of hackers as well. And there are three broad categories. There's someone known as a white hat hacker, a gray hat hacker, and a black hat hacker. Now, firstly, when you talk about a black hat hacker, this is someone who performs hacking for his own benefit or just for fun without asking for consent. And they can commonly be termed as cyber criminals. On the other end of the spectrum, we have someone known as a white hat hacker, someone who abides by the law and policies of the organization, works hand in hand with the organization for securing their infrastructure from the so-called hackers. And these people can also be commonly known as ethical hackers or penetration testers. And in between, there's a third mysterious category called gray hat hackers. Now, these are people who have both the qualities of black hat as well as white hat hackers. So, like a black hat hacker, they don't ask for permission first, but once they do find the vulnerability, they report it back to the company like a white hat hacker. But there is a minor catch here, a minor condition. In return for reporting that vulnerability, they ask for a bounty. A bounty is like a financial reward they are expecting in return to disclose that vulnerability. Okay, so therefore they are working both offensively and defensively at various stages to benefit the organization itself, but for a certain price. And these people can also be called as bug bounty hunters. They hunt for bugs or loopholes in an organization in return for a bounty. Okay? You're freelance hackers. Okay. Now, no matter what category of a hacker you take, whether it be a black hat hacker or a gray hat hacker or a white hat hacker, they perform hacking or ethical hacking in a certain procedure, and that procedure is called as cyber kill chain. Some organizations also refer to it as hacking cycle. So whether you hear the term cyber kill chain or hacking cycle, it's one and the same thing. To define it, the procedure that hackers follow in order to perform a successful cyber attack, and the same knowledge of this procedure which allows cybersecurity professionals to understand these attacks, to detect these attacks, and prevent them at every level is called as cyber kill chain. Okay, so the procedure followed by both hackers and ethical hackers is pretty similar. One uses it to attack the system, and one uses it to find those loopholes and prevent those attacks. Okay, so to list out all the 5 important steps in cyber kill chain, here they are. Okay, so the first step is called as information gathering. Second step is called as scanning. Third step is gaining access. Fourth step is maintaining access. And the last step is called as reporting or clearing traces. Now, if you carefully observe here, only in the last step, I have 2 different terminologies. One is reporting, and then there is another one called clearing traces. What I mean to indicate by that is no matter what category of a hacker you are, first 4 steps are exactly similar. You first perform information gathering, then you perform scanning, then you perform gaining access, and then you perform maintaining access. What happens in the end differs according to what kind of a hacker you are. If you're a white hat hacker or a gray hat hacker, you report the vulnerabilities back to the organization. On the other hand, if you're a non-ethical hacker or a black hat hacker, you don't report anything. You try to hide the evidences of your attack. That in simple terms is called clearing traces. Okay. I'll come back to this again, don't worry. But let's start from the very first step, information gathering. Before we do so, any questions or doubts up to this point?
No, clear. Thank you.
Okay. I hope I'm not going too fast, guys. Am I going too fast or too slow? Do you want me to change my pace anyway?
No, I'm okay with that.
Perfect. Now, moving forward, let's talk about information gathering first. So when you talk about information gathering, this is also commonly known as reconnaissance or footprinting. So these are the same, different names given to the same process. Okay. And the main objective of this process is to gather as much information or data as possible about the target organization. And an important point to note here is all of this information is obtained passively. What I mean by passively is you don't contact the organization in any way, and you don't let them know that you're trying to get information about them. All the information is gathered from third-party sources, especially from the internet. So the more information you obtain, the more easier it gets for you to launch the attack on the organization. But the main question that lies here is what kind of information are we looking for? And this is the information as follows. So your job as a hacker or an ethical hacker is to find information such as IP addresses or the group of IPs called network blocks, whose records, DNS records, domains of the organization, subdomains of the organization, operating system information, what OS are they running on their servers, what Windows servers are they using, what Linux servers are they using, employee details, contact numbers of the employees, email addresses of the employees, and usernames and passwords if they got leaked anywhere on the internet. Okay. Now, believe it or not, all of this information is actually readily available on the internet. All you need to know is what those websites are or what those resources are from where you can get this information. So if I show you a simple example for this, and let's say if I wanted to find the DNS records for any company, all I have to do is go to my browser. And in my browser now, I just search for a website called DNS Dumpster. Again, a very popular website in the cybersecurity domain. So 1 second. Yeah. So if I click on the first link here, this is a website which gives me the DNS records of any organization. So for example, if I search for tesla.com, let's say tesla.com. Now this shows me where are the DNS servers for Tesla located firstly, what region of the world they are located in, how many DNS servers does Tesla have. So at the moment it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 DNS servers. And these are the exact IP addresses of those servers. Now these IPs are very crucial for a hacker or an ethical hacker in the upcoming phases. Whatever information you obtain here in information gathering is utilized as the input for the next phase. Okay, so the more information you get, more easier it gets for you to attack the target organization, more attack vectors you find. Okay, so now these are the 7 DNS servers, and in these 7 servers you have all the remaining records mentioned below. So right now Tesla has one mail server on this exact IP, and they're using Outlook for the mail. Okay, so if someone gets access to this server, they could remotely see what mails are being sent from the customers to the organization or vice versa. Scroll down much further, you have host records. These are the domains of Tesla and the subdomains as well, and the exact IP of the server on which that website is hosted. So if you find any vulnerability on these servers, on these IPs, there's a chance you get access to that entire remote server. Okay. So in order to know what to attack, you get that information in this phase, getting to know what is the exact IP of those servers belonging to that organization. So these are the DNS records for Tesla.com. Okay. And this here is a schematic or a diagram, I would say, for the entire Tesla's organization. Each box here represents one of the servers belonging to Tesla with their exact IPs. Okay, so this is the network topology map, I could say, for Tesla's organization. And please note, nothing over here is illegal, guys. All this information is actually given out by Tesla itself, but it's scattered across the internet. What DNS Dumpster does is it collects all that information from various places on the internet and puts it in one single place for you to have an easier access to it. Okay, so it puts it here in a systematic order and maps out all the different servers belonging to that organization. Okay, and this works on any website across the entire internet. So if I search for any other organization as well, let's say netflix.com, and this shows me entire topology of Netflix now. How many DNS servers does it have? It has 4 DNS servers, 5 mail servers, all belong to Google itself. Okay, and these are all the domains and subdomains of Netflix. And here is the entire network topology, much more larger compared to Tesla, apparently. Okay, so this is again an example of information gathering, guys, trying to gather as much information as possible about the target organization passively. Now, when I tried to get this information, Tesla had no clue that I got all that information I got regarding their servers. I just obtained it from another third-party source. So that is what information gathering is. What we got now is DNS records. In similar fashion, we get the other pieces of information as well from other websites. And the more information you find, the more loopholes you get to find later on. Okay. Moving forward, now whatever information was obtained here, that is used in the scanning phase. Now this is also commonly known as enumeration. So whenever you hear the term enumeration or scanning, it's one and the same terminology. Okay. Now the main objective of scanning here is to get some extra information on the target, but by making active and aggressive connections. Now you might have a question. We already got information in the last phase. What is this again? So whatever information you obtained in the earlier phases, guys, was passively. Okay. Now what info you get there, that is used here in scanning to make active connections on those IPs. So whatever IP addresses you got here, now you directly connect on these IPs and retrieve some extra information. And that is called as scanning. So you make active and aggressive connections on all the IPs you obtained in the earlier phase, okay, or all the information you obtained in the earlier phase to get some exploitable channels, okay, to find vulnerabilities or loopholes to attack on. And to understand what information we are getting here, I can divide scanning in 3 parts. There's something called as network scanning, port scanning, and vulnerability scanning. In network scanning, we try to find all the active devices or alive hosts in the target organization. So if there's an organization, if there's a building, understanding what all devices are connected in that organization is network scanning. How many routers do they have? How many firewalls do they have? How many client operating system devices do they have? How many servers do they have? what category of servers do they have? DNS servers, DHCP servers, FTP servers, mail servers. So getting a network topology of their internal infrastructure is called as network scanning. Once you know what devices are available, on those devices, you perform port scanning, figuring out what ports are open on those devices and what services or applications can be running on them. Okay. And once you know what applications are running, then you perform vulnerability scanning to figure out if any of those services or applications can be exploited or attacked on. So it's a step-by-step procedure. Finding the devices first, then finding the open ports on those devices and services running on them, and then finding the vulnerable services out of them to attack the system. And during this phase, we use two very important tools. One is called Nmap, which stands for Network Mapper. Again, been there since 1997, but still used in a lot of organizations, even in today's world. Okay, one of the best tools for network and port scanning. And then there's another tool called Tenable Nessus. Nmap is completely open source, it's free to use, but Nessus is an expensive tool. So if you click on Tenable Nessus here, click on the first link, you can notice it's around $7,000, and that only for 1 year subscription. Now, don't worry, you don't have to make any such payment, obviously. We have a trial version for this, which works the exact same way to understand it. All I'm trying to show here is what tools we'll be working on, which are exactly used in real-time organizations. Okay. Moving forward, now after scanning is done, after you've found all the vulnerabilities, the next phase is nothing but attacking all those vulnerabilities. And that is your gaining access, the phase where the real hacking occurs. Before that, any questions, any doubts up to this point? Ankit, Rajesh, Avinash, Tawfiq, Jigar, Madhavi.
No, sir.
All clear? Does anyone want me to explain anything from the earlier slides? Again, guys, please do not hesitate. Please do let me know if I'm going too fast. Anyone?
No,
All
exactly.
good. All good for my.
Okay, guys. Moving forward, so after scanning is done, we go into the next phase called gaining access, as mentioned. So attackers or penetration testers use all the vulnerabilities found in the earlier phases of reconnaissance and scanning, and they utilize those vulnerabilities to gain access to the system or the application on that system or the entire network of the organization. Okay, and this is one of the largest modules of our entire course, guys. Covers a vast variety of topics here, as you can see. Okay, so the first topic we learn in gaining access module is system hacking. So if there's a Windows system right in front of you, and let's say you've been logged out of that system. So how do you crack the password for it? Or how do you bypass the password and get access into it is the main question. So again, this can work in either ways. How does a hacker try to bypass your system's password? Or if a hacker has logged you out of your own system, how do you crack it, get access back to it? Okay, so if it's a weak password, quite a simple password, we'll learn how to crack it. But if it's too tough to crack, how do you bypass it without even entering the password? How do you get access to the internal data on the system? That's what we learn in system hacking. Then comes malware attacks. Again, 90% of your cyber threats occur through malwares on the internet. Malware is a word joined from two other words, malicious softwares. So any software which is capable of performing a malicious activity on your device is called as a malware. And people have a misconception that viruses are the only malwares on the internet, but there's much more dangerous malwares as well. Worms, Trojans, spyware, rootkits, adware, whatnot. We practically learn about each of these malwares, understand how they work, and how to defend our system from these malwares as well. Then there's a bonus concept called malwares advanced. If anyone here is familiar with Python, this is a bonus concept for you guys to learn how to write malwares in Python. Okay, again, not a part of our course, guys, just added as a bonus resource. Again, please note, in this course, there is no requirement for any programming language. Okay, whatever topics are related to programming here that you see on the screen are just bonus concepts, okay, related to other courses in cybersecurity. But for this course, there is no such requirement of any programming or development knowledge. Okay. After that, you have network penetration testing, where we learn the common attacks in a local network. Attacks like sniffing attack, man-in-the-middle attack, denial of service attack, or hacking Wi-Fi routers. Now, these attacks might seem gibberish to you guys, but again, using these attacks, hackers can capture your data in a local network. So whatever you type, usernames or passwords in your system, and if you're sending it across devices in the local network, hackers can capture that data, okay, if it is unencrypted. Denial of service attack is where hackers can remotely shut down servers. So if there's Amazon, Flipkart, what hackers do is they sometimes try to overload that servers with huge amounts of traffic and shut it down. That is called as a DOS attack. And then hacking wireless networks is where we learn how to crack a Wi-Fi password. How do hackers try to access your Wi-Fi routers without your permission? So this is all related to network attacks. Then comes social engineering, where we learn how do hackers create phishing attacks. So you might have seen a lot of phishing attacks where they just try to create clones of websites or duplicate login pages, whether it be social media pages, your organization's login page, or a bank or a banking website login page as well. How do hackers create exact fake replicas of it? How do they fool the victims into giving their credentials out? So we learn about social engineering in that phase. Then comes hacking web servers. Now, every organization has a website which is hosted on a web server. So we learn how to test vulnerabilities on a web server as well, on the front end, on the back end as well. And now, again, you have websites and web applications. On the front end, you have vulnerabilities as well, called SQL injection, cross-site scripting, broken authentication, file upload. Might seem gibberish again, guys, but these are loopholes through which hackers attack websites. They inject malicious payloads, whether it be SQL payloads or JavaScript payloads, and get access to the entire server or the databases in the backend. Okay. Broken authentication is where, without even entering the password for the user, just by manipulating their cookies, we can get their access, their login access. So all this falls under web application pen testing. Then comes evading techniques. So when an organization has security measures like intrusion detection systems or intrusion prevention systems or firewalls, how do you find loopholes in them? How do you find misconfigurations in them and bypass them if they do contain any? Okay, that is what we learn in evading IDS, IPS, and firewalls. Then comes vulnerability assessment, a very commonly known terminology in cybersecurity, VAPT, vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. So whatever vulnerabilities you found in the earlier phases using this tool called Nessus, it generates a report for you with the list of vulnerabilities. Now you need to assess them. You need to attack on those vulnerabilities. So that is called as vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. For that, we use this tool called Metasploit framework, an open source tool available again for your for your cybersecurity circle to perform penetration testing or attack on vulnerabilities. So we'll be using this tool a lot in the upcoming sessions. Okay. And then finally, we have hacking mobile phones, where we learn how to attack an Android phone, find vulnerabilities in an Android phone, and remotely get connections to it through Trojan attacks. So if you carefully observe here, we're trying to attack every single endpoint. We talk about system security, we talk about network security, we talk about wireless security, we talk about web server security, web application security, firewall security, and mobile phone security. As small as a mobile phone to as big as a firewall or a web application server. Understanding what loopholes are on these devices, how do you attack on them, and how do you defend them, okay, is what the main objective of this course is. Once this module is covered, then you have two small modules left out, maintaining access and reporting or clearing traces. So in maintaining access, we learn once I've got remote connection to a system, how do I maintain that connection, or how do I retain the ownership of that device? So for example, if I've hacked your laptop, even after you restart your laptop, I should still be connected to it. So that is what is maintaining access, retaining the ownership of the system even after system restarts. Okay. And then you have reporting or clearing cases where, as an ethical hacker, you generate a report for the organization, elaborating all the loopholes or the vulnerabilities in their systems and providing solutions as well to eradicate them. This is the responsibility of an ethical hacker. On the other hand, if you're a non-ethical hacker, a black hat hacker, you don't report anything. You remove your evidences. You delete the logs on the target and erase all the evidence of your actions so that you can hide your identity and be untraceable. That is what a black hat hacker does. And in this course, we'll be learning the entire contents of it in two tracks. First, we learn how to attack these systems and as a non-ethical hacker. Then we learn how to defend these systems from those same attacks as an ethical hacker as well. Okay. So again, it's a 40-60 ratio course, guys, I would say, or I would say 20-40 ratio, where in 1 hour, if we have 60 minutes of the class, those 15 to 20 minutes, we discuss the theoretical aspect of that topic, and the remaining 35 to 40 minutes, we discuss the practical aspect of it. So very practically implemented course. Okay. And as mentioned, during this course, we'll be learning a lot more fundamentals before it. So before we dive into these advanced concepts, we learn networking fundamentals and we learn virtualization, where I show you how to set up your own lab environment so that you can perform the practicals on it. So we would need this operating system called Kali Linux, a very popular operating system in the cybersecurity circle. But I'll show you how to install this and operate on this as well. Okay. So this is called virtualization, guys, where we can run multiple operating systems on one singular device. So it's possible with this application called VMware. And I'll be sharing all the resources required to set up your lab as well. Okay. So once you have a practical lab setup, We learn what Linux commands are as well. And after that is done, we dive into the hacking side. So again, there are no prerequisites required for this course. Whatever is required is already included in the course itself. So all you need is a computer where you can set up this environment. And the minimum requirement for that would be at least 4 gigabytes of RAM. 4 is minimum. Recommended is 6 gigabytes or 8 gigabytes. Okay. And storage space of 50 to 100 GB. Okay. That's minimum is 50 GB. Recommended is 100 gigabytes of free storage space for all the tools we'll be working on. Okay. The course duration is for 35 days, where we have classes from Monday to Friday, every day for 1 hour each. And the class begins from day after tomorrow. Tomorrow it's Bakrid, guys. So that's why we are not going to start the class tomorrow. It's a holiday tomorrow. So the next class will start on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Okay. So yeah, that's a brief intro on what the course is about, what the duration of the course is. And again, as mentioned, I'm going to share the documentation as well for the course content. Let me add it in the chat box here. Now, if you have any questions also, you can let me know.
All right. Thank you for the information. I have a question because I live in a different country. 7 p.m. it's going to be that really different time for me. It's like 11:30 p.m.
EST time zone again?
Yeah, I live in Australia, so I'm 4.5 hours ahead of the Indian Standard Time, and I'm planning to take these classes. The main reason is like I'm getting into cybersecurity. I did few certificates, but I need a hands-on training on tools and technology. That's the main reason I'm doing this course.
Right.
So how are we gonna do that way?
So your time slot is 11:30 in the night, and I suppose that is definitely not a comfortable time slot.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, if it's only for 35 days, so I can adjust sort of things because I'm gaining access to these things, right? Information.
Right.
And so
if you
I'll try.
Can make it, then yeah, that should work out. Since as mentioned, should be done in 35 days, not more than that.
Right.
So we have a class every day for 45 minutes to 1 hour. So 45 minutes
to 1 hour.
And the last 15 minutes for doubt session and all. So yeah, if you can make it, again, we will be starting it from day after tomorrow without fail. So the first class on networking will be day after tomorrow anyhow. And yeah, we can see how it goes from there on after that.
And do we get any personal sort of things, like, the channel where we can communicate?
I will create a WhatsApp group though. Again, I have been asked again in the earlier batches as well. They have been made requests to create a WhatsApp group. I usually don't create one because again, I've had some trouble with people's numbers being leaked and all. But yeah, I'll try to create a WhatsApp group so that if anyone is interested, they can join in that. For any information regarding the class or if anything that I have to share as a resource, I can add it in that group itself. So once we get started with the groups, I'll share my number, my personal number, and I'll create a group as well for you all to join. And that should work out as a common space for us to communicate. Any other questions, guys? Jigar, again, as mentioned, yeah, so definitely an uncomfortable time slot, but if you can adjust a bit, we will complete the course within 35 days. Classes from Monday to Friday every day, 5 days a week. So it should be done in 35 days. Okay. Right. Others, any questions, guys? Ankit, Madhavi, Rajesh, Avinash, Tawfiq. So it's going to be demo sessions itself, guys, from Tuesday as well. But again, we won't be taking this session. What I'll start from Tuesday is networking basics. So people who have no clue or who are not new to the, who are new to the IT department. So what we learn in Tuesday's session is networking fundamentals, understanding what IP addresses are. Okay, basically understanding or having a grasp on networking is very important for cybersecurity. So we'll be covering these basics again. What are hosts? What is networking? What are IP addresses? What are the categories of IP addresses? This is what we're going to talk about in the next session. Okay, session from Tuesday. Okay, what are the categories of IPs? What are the ranges of IP addresses? What is the sequence of IPs? We'll cover all this. Okay, what are public IPs? What are private IPs? And again, an important point to note, you will be getting all these recordings, you'll be getting all these presentation slides and all this in the course content itself. Okay, so you don't have to make notes separately again, because as mentioned, I've prepared the notes for each and every class. So you'll be getting all of this directly with you. Okay. Oh yeah, and if anyone has any queries also, here's my personal number on WhatsApp, 9499847778. Okay, that's my personal number, +91 country code and the 10-digit number. Okay. So if you have any further queries that you want to ask personally also, that's my number. And as mentioned, I'll be starting the class from Tuesday without fail. Okay. So any questions, any doubts also up to this point? Others? Ankit, Madhavi, Rajesh, Avinash, Tawfiq. Madhavi, I think you joined the demo a bit late, but no worries. This demo will be uploaded on YouTube because the demos are uploaded on YouTube. So you can access this recording from there. Okay. Once we start the classes, the recordings will be shared directly to you, privately to you on your email over Google Drive. Okay. For the demo sessions, you can access them on YouTube as well. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Rajesh, any questions? Ankit, any questions? Your mic's unmuted.
So this cybersecurity course has a few models, no, like a certificate-based one or two models. So which we are discussing this.
We are going on the course of Certified Ethical Hacking, Rajesh. So this is a course from EC Council itself. So once this course is done, if you want to write a certification, you apply for the same Certified Ethical Hacker version 12. So if you go to your browser and in your browser, if you search for EC Council, so the exact modules that we'll be following are from the curriculum of this organization, Certified Ethical Hacker. So if you plan on getting certified as well, this is the certification we are applying for. First fundamental certified ethical hacking course. Okay, so whatever modules are covered from this organization, they are covering the same exact modules. Okay, once this course is done, you can start. If you want, you can apply for the certification as well. Is that clear,
Okay.
Rajesh?
Yeah.
Right. Any other questions? Tawfiq, Avinash, Jigar.
All good from my end.
Right, guys. Assuming you like the demo, guys, nothing further for our session today. Again, if there's no questions, I'm going to exit the session here now, and we connect back on Tuesday again at the
All right,
second.
Shoaib, I have one question. Like, what's a procedure because for enrollment? Because I've accessed your website and contacted book this demo class. Now, how do we proceed to enrollment?
Again,
Like-
if in the chat box, if you notice, Jigar, the institute has mentioned their contact details, I suppose.
Okay.
Have they not?
Yes, they
If
have.
not,
I'll check. Yes.
yeah. So you can contact that number, and you can again you can make the payment to they'll send you their account details and all. You can make the payment and register for the course directly.
Oh,
So the payment
perfect.
is not handled by me. They handle the payment part. I handle the teaching.
Obviously. No,
Right.
obviously. No, good.
So yeah, if there's any other queries also, you have my number as well. So you can contact me on this number and I'll forward the information to the organization if you get any trouble.
No, all good. No problem.
So yeah, that's that. Again, one last time. Hope no questions, guys. Any questions before we exit the session today? Ankit, Madhavi, Rajesh, Avinash, Tawfiq, Jigar.
No, good. My fine.
Perfect, guys. So yeah, thank you for joining the session today. Hope you have a good day today, and I'll see you back on Tuesday again. No class tomorrow. Tomorrow is a holiday. Okay, bye-bye.
Perfect. Enjoy your holiday, Shoaib. Thank you.
Bye, Jigar. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Bye. Thank you for joining the session today. Bye.